What's up, everyone? I'm Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and I am currently on a road trip to the Keweenaw Overland Adventure Retreat. It's up in the very tip top of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and it's a 17-hour road trip. And so I thought it'd be fun to do a road trip Q&A. So I posted on our Patreon page and Instagram and Facebook that I was going to be doing this, and just said, hey, ask me any question you want, overlanding related, gear related, rig related, just personal questions, just whatever. And I would make this video and answer them. Anyway, thought it'd be a lot of fun and something different. And honestly, I've got 17 hours to occupy, so it's to entertain myself. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. We're going to dive right in.
Ozark Overland Adventures is proudly supported by the More Expo, the Midwest's only indoor event for adventure travel enthusiasts. Artemis Overland Hardware. They have the passion and knowledge to ensure that your next outdoor experience is more than a camping trip, it's an adventure. And Long Creek Overland, your source for Ozark Overland Adventures merchandise and more.
All right, first question is from Michael Leonbauer. Hope I didn't butcher your last name there, bro. But Michael asked, how did you get started? That's an excellent question, and I'll try to do a quick summary because I don't want to just go on some long monologue. But really, kind of just happened organically. I always have loved the outdoors, hiking and photography and waterfalls. We have a ton of waterfalls in Arkansas, and so love to photograph those. Had a sensible four-door family car. Always loved Jeeps, and so when my four-door family car was time to be replaced, and Jeep had come out with the four-door Wranglers, I knew what my next vehicle was going to be, and so I did. I bought a four-door Wrangler, a 2008 Sahara, and bought it to get to more places to photograph. And in the process of that, fell in love with off-roading and exploring the Ozark National Forest. Add on to that camping and overnight trips and multi-day trips, and boom, you're overlanding. So that's kind of how it happened for me, just really out of a love for hiking and photography, and then getting a Jeep and falling in love with exploring places that so many people don't see anymore because they don't venture off the pavement. So good question. All right, our next question is from Jeremiah Gill, who says, what are places you look for as stopping places, and what do you avoid? Like never stay overnight in a certain parking lot, or look for stops right by the main road. Excellent question, especially for this, since I'm all highway. I use a bunch of different resources like iOverlander, Dirt, Campendium, there's freecampsites.net. And so if I'm going to a new place like this and it's all highway, I just kind of look and see what other people have found. Safe places are, I've stayed in a Pilot truck stop parking lot before. Those are pretty safe because there's a whole bunch of people sleeping there overnight. So truck stops, they'll do. Walmart parking lots, a lot of Walmarts, you can camp there. Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's are great places for just to spend the night. For this particular trip, I found a spot through iOverlander that someone marked in a city park north, or just kind of northeast of Madison, Wisconsin. And so that's my goal for tonight, is to get there and see what that's like. Maybe sleeping with a bunch of homeless people. I don't know. Just kind of winging it on this trip. But I really avoid places like right off the road, someplace with good public place. Retail places probably gonna have cameras in the parking lot, that sort of thing. But I'm assuming you mean for a road trip like this, because I'm not staying in hotels. I'm avoiding hotels on this trip. So anyway, I hope that helps. Matthew Smith asks, what's the tire and suspension setup on the Grand Cherokee? If you've seen some of my videos, my wife has a 2018 Grand Cherokee Trailhawk that she has wheeled pretty heavily, considering the type of rig that is, and super proud of her and super impressed by the capabilities of that rig. And to answer your question, it's pretty much stock. The Grand Cherokee Trailhawk comes with the quadrilift suspension, which is an air suspension, and at the push of a button we can raise it 2.5 inches, which is crazy handy, you know, driving down the interstate like this. Keep it low and aerodynamic. When you're on the trail, hit that button and you can lift it 2.5 inches and have a lot more ground clearance. As far as tires, we do have a little bit larger tires than stock. They're 265 65 R18s, and we chose the Falcon Wild Peak AT3s. We went with an AT tire for hers because we knew we weren't doing serious rock crawling and serious mudding in her rig. So went with a good AT tire, and so far I've been super impressed by the Falcons for what we've done with it. All right, Dennis Willa asked, have you regeared yet? Talking about the Gladiator. And at the time of recording this on my way out to Core, the answer is no. Sadly, I am currently getting 12.9 miles per gallon on the highway, and that sucks. And it makes for a very expensive road trip with these 37-inch tires and factory 410 gears. But hopefully by the time you are watching this video, the answer will be yes. I've got an appointment as soon as I get back to take this in and have it regeared with 529s. Wanted 513s, but they're actually back ordered. So went with 529s because they're available, and think that'll do great with the 37s. Give me a little bit of flexibility if I want to go up to a bigger tire size the next time, and will help when I'm pulling my little teardrop camper as well. So no right now, but when you're watching this, hopefully yeah. All right, Brian Mooney asked 2 questions, and first one was, what made you decide to go with the JT Gladiator versus the JL Wrangler? Honestly, I never ever had any intention of owning a JL Wrangler over my JK. If I was going to stick with the Wrangler, if I ever had to get a new one, I was going to go with the 2017 or 2018 Rubicon Recon edition of the Wrangler. All the electronics and stuff that they added to the JLs just was a no-go for me, which is ironic because obviously I'm in a JT right now, and what made me decide to go with the JT is my wife and I were just goofing off one Saturday, and on a whim we went and test drove one, and I absolutely fell in love with how well it drove, how it felt on the road, and I've got a whole video on the things I love and hate about the Gladiator. But that's why I went with a JT over JL. Was never going to own a JL, but put the things that pushed me away from the JL aside to get the Gladiator, which is basically a Wrangler with a truck bed and the extra wheelbase and everything. This thing just does so well, and I fell in love with it on a test drive. Test drove it on Saturday, picked it up on Monday. Let's see. Second question, how did you get your JT to track straight and true when you took your hands off the steering wheel? That's a video I did of showing that a Wrangler or Gladiator, same difference. Just because it's a solid axle Jeep does not mean it has to ride like crap. So many people are just used to Wranglers and Gladiators driving like crap because they put cheap lift kits on it. They only do springs and shocks, and anytime you lift a vehicle, you are changing the factory geometry to something it was never meant to be. And so you've got to do what you can to correct that geometry to make it drive well. And so adjustable control arms, front and rear, are a must, and being able to dial in your caster will make all the difference in the world with how well your Jeep rides and performs on road, rides off-road. So don't cheap out on your lift. I say that to people all the time. Get a good quality lift that includes adjustable control arms so you can dial in that geometry, and your Jeep will be amazing. And when people say, oh, it's a Jeep, it rides like crap, no, and that's not a Jeep thing. My buddy Matt with Fries on the Side, great YouTube channel by the way, great Instagram account, says, what's your favorite quote from a movie? And gosh, I don't know that I have a favorite. I can just think of so many quotes that I use on a daily basis, or that come to mind. Quotes from movies like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you're gonna miss it. Empire Strikes Back, of course, you know, I am your father. I use that with my kids. Yoda saying, do or do not, there is no try. I say that quite a bit. Gosh, what else? There's great quotes from Top Gun. The Princess Bride. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. As You Wish from Princess Bride. I say that quite a bit around the house. My wife asks me to do something. As you wish. Also from Empire Strikes Back. Yoda, I will help you not. That's a good line. I like that one. Gosh, there's so many, but that's some of my favorites. Probably the one that I use most in videos and other things is from Dumb and Dumber. I like it a lot, so I say that a lot too, because I like it a lot. Matt also asked, what's the one thing that can instantly make your day better? And my wife actually correctly chose to answer herself, and I would say just a random hug or kiss from my wife is, boom, instantly a better day. I know that's really sappy, but it's true. Kevin from High Point Overland says, so many questions about your hair products. Where do I begin? I honestly just hairspray. That's all there is, hairspray. As far as fixing my hair. Now the color, that's a whole other story. That honestly I'm not sure, because I don't do it. Cruz Garner asks, what are the base essentials when overlanding? I mean, the essentials would be food, shelter, water, and how you go about doing that, especially that shelter part. There's so many options, from sleeping in the back of your rig, rooftop tent, ground tent, hammocks, which I love, just sleeping in a sleeping bag under the stars. So lots of options there, but I think essentials for overlanding, aside from that, obviously you're going to need a rig, hopefully a capable rig to get you to amazing remote places, like gas, obviously, and recovery gear and tools, so that when something goes wrong, because it will happen, so that when something goes wrong, you can safely recover yourself. If something breaks, you can fix it, and a first aid kit. Everything else is luxury after that. And I mean, let's be real. In overlanding, a lot of it is about living in the wild as nice as you can. So not just going to be transparent about that. None of us go out to the wild to just completely live like homeless people. We take good food. We have good quality gear that makes life easy, and we want to go out into the wild and thrive, not just survive. So this is not a survival channel. It's an overlanding channel. So, Dark Side EMT wants to know, can you please start doing some trips east, please, with the frowny face? Man, I want to so bad. I want to get up into northern Alabama, northern Georgia, run the Georgia Traverse. So many amazing places to see in the Appalachians. I mean, eastern Tennessee, Kentucky, North South Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. I want to go to all the places. So that's definitely a 2022 goal. I don't think it's going to be realistic to do that in 2021. But 2022, yeah, I want to explore some of the eastern U.S. Evil Smoke Barbecue wants to know, what places in Arkansas do you recommend for someone just getting into off-roading with a stock height Jeep Willys, which is a submodel of a Wrangler. He lives in Kansas City, so he wanted to come down. Honestly, the best place in Arkansas for stock rigs and someone just getting into it is the Ouachita National Forest, which I know is a little further south from you than the Ozark National Forest. But the Ouachitas are very newbie stock rig friendly. Beautiful places to see over there, great campsites, swimming holes, that sort of thing. The Ouachitas are fantastic. But as far as the Ozarks go, which would be closer to you, honestly, I would say 90% of the Ozarks can be done in a stock rig, and you'll know if you're getting into that 10% pretty quick. So most of the Ozarks are very stock rig friendly. Anytime you're in the National Forest, familiarize yourself with the motor vehicle use map. Get a good off-roading app like Gaia GPS or Onyx Off-Road, and learn to use those so you know where you are, because especially in the Ozarks, it's real easy to get turned around and on a trail that you shouldn't be on. And so having a good GPS off-roading app is very important. To more specifically answer your question, being in Kansas City, I would come down and explore around the White Rock mountain area in the western Ozarks. A couple trails that you can get on there are pretty technical, but you'll know those before you get on them, or as you start to get on them and can turn around. But there's just some beautiful things to see in that area. There's some great campsites, great watering holes in that area, and Bird's Adventure Center is nearby, so highly recommend that area. Fries on the side also asks, what's your favorite part of a road trip running solo? And I just think my wife has answered, nothing. He misses me. And that is actually true. I'm not sure if you mean solo as in right now I'm the only one in my vehicle, or if you mean solo as in I'm the only rig on the trip. So I'll answer both. As far as running solo, like right now, this is just me, and my wife is unfortunately at home. I really prefer my wife being with me, because we just, on road trips, we laugh so much. Like we crack each other up, and we spend a whole lot of time laughing, and it makes it go by a whole lot faster. But I guess there is an advantage to being solo and you know, actually being by myself, and that's I don't have to. The only time I have to stop and pee is when I need to pee, and I don't have to worry about anyone else needing to stop and pee. So I mean, that's really the main advantage to running solo. As far as being the only rig and making a solo trip, you know, with no other rig with me, I love the fact that I can just wander. I can just go down any road I want to and don't have to worry about people behind me not wanting to go there, or you know, being annoyed by it. And I really have a lot more creative freedom in creating videos about the trips, because I'm not self-conscious about if I'm annoying anybody setting up a camera or launching the drone or driving slow because we're filming. I can stop and do whatever I want to and just have complete creative freedom and have a whole lot of fun shooting whatever I want to with that. But really it's just the wandering part and exploring, going wherever I want to is my favorite part. Jensen GTCS asks, when's the next event in Arkansas, and how does one find out about said event? He always finds about them after the fact. The next event in Arkansas is Rendezvous in the Ozarks. It's October 14, 15, and 16, I think, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if you are not signed up for that, sign up and attend Rendezvous in the Ozarks. It is fan-freaking-tastic. This will be the 5th year of it. I've been there all 5 years, and it continues to grow and get better and better each year. So that's the next one. And the next event after that will probably be April. As far as personal stuff, we're actually going to have a YouTube subscriber weekend in November. November 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is. That spaces are going to be limited on that. So pay attention to our Facebook page and Instagram. But how you find out about them, follow our Facebook page and Instagram, because we'll share that stuff. Join the Facebook group Natural State Overland. Lots of stuff gets promoted in that group that we aren't necessarily a part of, but still great events. So hope that it helps. Samuel Martin 126 asks, what would you say is the most important thing to have on your rig? And my buddy Matt with fries on the side has correctly answered steering wheel. That's very important to have inside. But seriously, recovery gear, tools, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, 4 things. All things that you hope you don't ever need, but those things are by far the most important things to keep in your rig. On Patreon, Paul asks, he's planning his first trip to Colorado. What are the must-hit trails that he should do if he's got 5 to 6 days out there? Your first trip to Colorado will be unreal. If you've never been out there before, I vividly remember mine and Kara's first trip out to Colorado, and it is just stunning seeing the mountains and wheeling the trails for the first time. First time out there, 5 to 6 days, I would honestly just go to the Ouray area and explore. I know Paul has a Jeep, and so run the badge trails that are out there. May want to skip Poughkeepsie on your first time, but just run all the trails in the Ouray area. Take your time, spend time in Ouray, spend time in Telluride, spend time in Silverton, and check out those towns, because they're all very different but all very cool. And I mean, you can easily spend a week in that area of the San Juan Mountains and not get bored at all. And if you want, get an Airbnb or a hotel, or better yet, so many great places to camp out there. And for a first time, the Ouray area, San Juan Mountains, for sure. Next time, go explore other places. Crested Butte, Gunnison area, Salida area. Gosh, there's just so many places. Kevin with High Point Overland also asks on Patreon, are there any long-lasting effects from Pritchett Canyon, such as tics, nightmares, meds for anxiety, etc.? Very valid question. If you haven't watched the Pritchett Canyon video, 12 hours to run 4 miles. Long day, broke my U-joint on that trail, and it was brutal. But I mean, honestly, the real long-lasting effect of Pritchett Canyon is just regret. Regret not having the tool that I need to remove the axle shaft. Regret not having a spare U-joint, and just so many things that could have gone different that day. Not anxious to get back out there and run it again, but would definitely like to run it again now under different circumstances. So right now, my number one long-lasting effect is regret. Michael Fox, one of our patrons, has a couple questions. What item or items have made it easier for you to take short notice camping trips? Honestly, it's just some good quality totes that I keep everything organized in. And so anytime I'm ready to, just make a spontaneous trip, all I got to do is throw those totes in the back of the Gladiator and I'm out. Obviously, having a rooftop tent certainly helps make things super quick and easy. But really just keeping things organized in the totes, and all of my kitchen stuff is dedicated to camping and overlanding. So I'm not having to load stuff up from the kitchen inside the house and deal with that sort of stuff. All my camping gear is dedicated camping gear, and it lives in totes, and I just throw them in the back. And really the longest thing I have to do is go buy food. Second question, is there a sub $1,000 RTT that you would recommend? Honestly, for sub $1,000, I would try to find a used one from a good brand. I'm not sure if it's still sub $1,000, but I know Smittybilt made a pretty decent RTT. My buddy Nathan had one, and he liked it. I mean, it wasn't the best in the world. You get what you pay for to a large degree. Especially with budget RTT, it's definitely gonna be soft shell, no hard shells. but look for used, or maybe look into the new Smitty build, and it looks pretty nice. I mean, they've done some cool stuff with it. All right, next question from Andrew Embergy. I think I pronounced his name right. He's got two questions. If you had to choose a rig for $5,000 or less, what rig would you choose and why? Man, sub 5K. Honestly, I'd have to go with the Jeep Cherokee XJ model. Those with the 4-liter inline 6. That 4-liter engine is just about bulletproof. XJ shares a whole lot of suspension components with the Jeep Wrangler TJ, and it is just a very capable rig. It's got plenty of space in the back for your gear. It's easy to fix. Aftermarket parts for it are cheap. So I think, yeah, budget rig and XJ. Number two, if you had to choose any older rig, like pre-2000s, what would you choose and why? So I'm assuming there's no budget restrictions on this question. I think I would go with something like an older series Land Cruiser with a solid axle. I think that's an 80 series. I'm not well versed on all my Land Cruiser generations, but I think the 80 series Land Cruiser still had the solid front axle. I want to say the 100 series they went with IFS, but an older Land Cruiser with a solid front axle. I've got an older Land Cruiser with a solid front axle. I've got some friends that have those rigs, and they are just crazy capable. I mean, they love them. I mean, they've got a reputation for being just about bulletproof. And pre-2000s, I'd probably go with an older Land Cruiser. Team Hydra Overland wants to know, what's next for Sully? Any mods coming? Or are you done for now? Is an Overland rig ever actually done? I mean, for the most part, it's done. But next up, I mean, I've already mentioned the gears in another question, so that's going to be taking place as soon as I get back. And then as soon as the gears are done, I need to fix or replace the factory front drive shaft, because I've already torn the boot, and it's just a ticking time bomb right now before it falls apart on me. So those two are very important, and I've actually got front and rear bumpers coming that I'm excited about, and I think that's it. There's some lights I want to put on the rear that I haven't quite nailed down yet. But I think that's it that I know of. Who knows what will come up. And the second question is, but what overlanding destinations are at your top of your next list to hit for the first time? My main priority going for the rest of this year into early next year is to explore the Ouachita National Forest. I have only scratched the surface on exploring the Ouachitas, and I need to cover a lot of ground in this, so that'll be a whole lot of firsts in the Ouachitas. But as far as remote, farther destinations, really going east, as I mentioned in another comment, I really want to get east, so somewhere Appalachians, Smokies, Kentucky, the Kentucky Adventure Trail, and the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway are really high on my list to hit. The Georgia Traverse I want to hit. So those would probably be my high priority next away destinations that hopefully will be on the 2022 to-do list. Kyle Conway wants to know, what tips and tricks do I have for overlanding with a soft top from my pre-Sully times? My vehicle before the Gladiator was a 2012 Wrangler Rubicon that I had an aftermarket slant back soft top on. And really, I would say don't get a slant back soft top for overlanding purposes, because it really cuts back on on your storage space back there. Looks really good. Love the look of it, but it definitely cuts back on some of your storage space by having that slant back. Tips or tricks, I mean, you got to be careful with trees and stuff because you can tear the fabric. I did rub mine up against a tree a couple times and tore the fabric, and had to get that fixed and replaced. But Simple Green, the cleaner Simple Green, does work really well for removing mud stains from the soft top. That's really the only tip I think I have. But I just treat it like any top, and you know, if you mess it up, you fix it. One of our patrons, Ben Bradley, wants to know when I get a drone shot while on the move, is the drone being piloted by a human, or is there some sort of autopilot flying the drone? And I'm assuming he's mostly talking about when I'm out solo, because I do still fly the drone when I'm solo. And the answer to that is a mixture of yes. Depending on the terrain and environment, I have become quite good at driving with my knees and flying the drone with both hands, especially in heavily wooded areas where the auto tracking on the drone can't really get a lock on the Jeep because it keeps going behind trees and stuff. A lot of that is me piloting the drone and driving my Jeep with my knees. But when I'm in places where there's a clear view of the Jeep, like especially out in some of the recent Moab videos, I will select the Jeep and either just have the camera focus on the Jeep while I'm semi-flying the drone, maybe just in one direction while driving, or I'll just put it on follow me mode and let the drone follow me around while I'm on the trails. That works really well too. And that footage is always super smooth. It looks great. It doesn't have me screwing up driving it. So it's a combination of yes. Wes Shivers wants to know, when you take multi-day trips, are you camping or staying in a hotel on your way to the location? That honestly depends on the trip and the weather and access to public lands on the way out there. We've done it all. I prefer to camp if there's public land and the weather's, tolerable. That's my preference. But like when we're heading out to Utah and in the middle of the summertime and we're going through Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's stupid hot and there's not really, we're just gonna get a hotel. Especially on the way back, we will typically get a hotel just to have a good clean shower before getting home. That's always nice. Sleep in a nice bed, get a good shower, and then get home the next day. We've slept in a pilot parking lot before because it was late and that was what was available. This particular trip I'm on right now to Core, not a lot of public land between my home and there, at least that's I can get to in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm urban overlanding on this trip and gonna stay in I found a city park or a Cabela's parking lot is a possibility for tonight. So it really just depends on the circumstances, the weather, if public land's accessible, that sort of thing. We've done a mixture of everything. And then to follow up, if you're staying in a hotel, how do you secure the equipment in the bed of the Gladiator? Honestly, I don't worry about it. I'm probably too trusting of a person, but I've never had an issue. The bed does lock, and with the bed rack being a half rack and as low as it is, someone can reach in there and steal a camp chair, but they're not going to get my fridge. They're not going to get one of my totes. They can steal my propane bottle, or they can steal my propane bottle and the gear that's on the side of it. But I'm really a trusting person, and I don't worry about that. Mark Spinner wants to know, do you plan ahead stops along the way to stretch your legs and use the bathroom, or just wing it? Totally just wing it. I mean, unless it's something scenic that we're stopping at along the way, bathrooms and gas stops, it's just totally winging it. I do have really two rules. One, if we stop for gas everybody goes pee, or if by some unfortunate circumstances someone has to go to the bathroom and it's not a gas stop, go ahead and top off the gas, so that way you're not wasting time and you can just keep on going. But I mean, pretty much just swinging it. And I mean, in my Gladiator, I really realistically on interstates have a range of 250 miles as it is right now, and so every 200 miles I'm stopping for gas anyway, and that's a pretty good bathroom stop break, so it usually works out. That's pretty much been my view for the last 4 hours. It hasn't been exciting. Illinois is boring. I know there's some places in Illinois that are great, but this interstate is not fun. Hi, Patrick Trombley says, you've mentioned in a couple of videos that you work from home until you can make this your full-time gig. Are you able to tell us what you do? Well, funny you should ask that. I can tell you what I did. I was in sales for an IT company called Insight. It's a Fortune 500 company, worked from home as soon as COVID hit for the last year and a half. But they were actually making us come back to the office, which wasn't going to work for me. And so as of August, I am full-time YouTube now. YouTube is my full-time job. But when I say, want to do this full-time, in my videos, I have always meant hit the road full-time. Me and my wife, when our kids graduate from high school, which will be in less than 4 years, she and I hitting the road full-time and living on the road, living out of our vehicles, and just living life exploring. That's always what I meant. But now I'm actually a YouTuber, which sounds really weird and strange to say, full-time for the last 6 weeks. So it's been really cool, and I'm having a blast, but still can't travel full-time because my wife has to work. So still technically working from home, but doing YouTube. And Abel has a few questions. But first is, what's the best road food and what's the worst road food? Funny you should ask. Pretty good burger. So, I love food. And I love trying different foods or different places. And so I think the best road food is anything you don't have readily available locally. I'm currently eating a burger from Culver's, not sponsored by any means. And I mean, it's a fast food place, it's a burger, but we don't have Culver's in Arkansas, and I've honestly never seen one before. I'm not sure I've ever heard of it before. And so I wanted to try something new. I could have played it safe and gone to Wendy's or McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, but I wanted to try something new. So any place new that you don't have at home is good for road food, because that's why we travel, is to experience new things and to do that. And so if you're traveling and you're just eating the same old stuff you got at home, well, that's lame. So worst road food, I would flip it and say just the same old, same old. That's boring. So let's see. Also, if the Gladiator isn't the best do-it-all rig for overlanding right now, what is? Trick question. It is. It absolutely is. So yeah, there you go. If money were no object, what rig would you have? I think the one I currently have. I mean, it's not exactly cheap. I mean, have you seen the stickers on these things? But money no object. This. Now, I will say, in 4 years, when the kids go to college, My wife and I really want a 4-wheel drive Sprinter van that we can, you know, travel around and set up base camp, but still have the Gladiator for more remote stuff. We haven't fully thought through how we're gonna do that, but that's kind of our plan. So a really sweet, tricked out 4-wheel drive Sprinter van, money no object, would probably be high on the list. And then why on God's green earth would anyone go to Michigan of their own free will? I'll let you know on the way home. I've heard great things about it, especially this Upper Peninsula part. So I'm excited. But watch the video about this, and I'll let you know how it is. Ranger the Roo asks, how about them hogs? Very, very happy with how the Razorbacks played against the Longhorns and their victory against the Longhorns. So yeah, very optimistic. Really, really excited about this season. Has good potential so far. And what's your favorite Northwest Arkansas spot to drive? I'm so homesick. God, I mean, anywhere in the Ozark National Forest. Just anywhere. Just pick a spot in the Ozarks, and I'm gonna have a blast and love life. So, yeah. And J6 Bradley 400X asks, ever thought of doing more fan trail rides? Absolutely. We actually have one coming up in November. Haven't made a sign-up sheet or anything for that yet, but we did one in the spring. It was fantastic. We're doing another one in the fall, in the first weekend of November, and we will open that up to our Patreon subscribers first. It'll be first come, first serve with that. If that doesn't fill up from them, then I'll post it on Instagram and Facebook, and let anyone else sign up and fill those slots. It will be completely free, and except for you paying for your food and gas, of course, but no charge for the event. And anyway, it's gonna be a blast, so come if you can. Well, I hope that was fun for you. Thank you so much for all the questions. You definitely made my drive through Illinois much better than it would have been. Driving through central Illinois is perhaps the worst. I'm sorry if you are watching this and live in central Illinois, but there's no public and there's nothing but corn. But all the questions made the trip so much more fun. Anyway, if you would like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're not, check out our Patreon if you want to support what we're doing in a very tangible way and have access to all our GPS data. And I'll see you next time. Bye.